doesn't text and I ain't heard Jack. I guess she's busy playing hard to get back. So I bought roses and her favorite wine, thinking we'd be making up in no time. But I'm parked out here on her street. Looks like the joke's on me. Sitting here, I can't believe what I just saw. Couple shadows kissing on her bedroom wall.
Oh, God.
Looking like my plan didn't work
All passing.
out at all. Our brick turned into broke up. So now I'm finding out how a heartbreak tastes with a Silver Oak 1998. Drinking cab in a solo in the cab of my truck.
Kevin, why does that make you think of me?
Because you love cab and you drive a truck.
That's true.
And I can see you sitting in a truck drinking cab in a solo cup.
By myself?
Yep.
There's a long way to go for that one. I'm like, where's this going?
Hang on now. I mean, I may.
Dad's got thoughts.
I think now I might get a bottle of wine, take a solo cup from the studio, and my kayak, and just be lonely. Just be lonely. Go off by myself. That's funny. What's it called? Cabin of Solo is the name of the song?
Yeah, my wife had to pick me up and take me somewhere yesterday, and she listens to country music, and it just happened to be on, and I'm like, sounds like a song about Bill.
I'd say some of these country guys can really turn lyrics really well.
What do you think of this guy?
Who's the singer?
Scotty McCreery, the former American Idol guy. But just tell me, like, first blush, just somebody who appreciates music, knows music, can play music.
Yeah, he sounds like most country artists.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, it sounds like that could have been an 80s country song or a 90s country song.
Okay.
My father would have gotten a kick out of this song.
Yes.
He would have gotten a kick out of it.
Yeah, there's something about it. And it is, I guess we could say that it follows the country theme, but I think it just follows the life theme. I think you'll find the same kind of songs in rock, and you'll find the same kind of songs.
I was wrong about the draft. Now I'm eating crow.
No, they're not. They're
I'm
not
going
eating
back
they're
to my
eating
podcast
steak,
with
and you're-
Morano.
And you're back on the podcast, and they're on the fucking radio eating steak. All right, so give me your thought. Danny wrote a constitutional amendment calling anybody who thought the eclipse was
awesome.
He said they are not to be trusted. I have said on this podcast,
I'm fully trustable.
I found it to be awesome. I thought it was, even when it got dark, I said that the little bugs that come out at night did. I thought it was amazing just how nature itself sort of got fooled. And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I was ready for a fucking nap. Like, I got tired. Like, I got tired, honestly, after that. I was tired.
Yeah, so I wasn't like bashing.
Yes, you were.
Could you let me finish?
No, I can't.
That's why I can't. That's why I never could make a full argument on this show, because I never get to finish. No. There's a difference between what you said and your observation and your reflection on the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then what other people were saying. Now, let's say hypothetically that we had a clear day and we saw an actual eclipse. We actually saw the moon go in front of the sun, not what happened behind a bunch of clouds and overcast skies.
Right.
Okay. So if what happened in Western New York was, quote, awesome, then what would you use? What word would you use to describe if we had actually effing saw it?
Don't know. We didn't see it.
I think awesome.
That's no. You can't.
What do you mean
they
you
can't
can't?
both be awesome.
Why?
That's my point. You could have. I mean, now your
I can
your
judge
description.
on what I saw.
Your description was very reflective and very philosophical. These were people who were like, "That was awesome." No, it wasn't awesome, and it's okay to be disappointed and say you're disappointed.
But I think that's different than what you're saying.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to play devil's advocate and appear to be smarter than everybody else, and they're not.
All right.
Like
It's
he's doing over here.
okay.
Hang on.
It's okay to state the obvious sometimes.
right.
It was disappointing.
It was disappointing that we had a sunny day, a cloudy day for the eclipse,
Right.
and a sunny day after.
Right.
That was somewhat
It was
disappointing.
a Charlie Brown type
I
of
wasn't
experience.
disappointed at all. I
But
thought I
I was
had a
not-
great time and enjoyed myself.
Yeah, because you were out for a party on a Monday afternoon when you should be where you normally would be working. There's a bunch of people around, so it's going to lift up the atmosphere.
Yes, I enjoyed it too, but I even enjoyed standing there, seeing it. I did think it was kind of awesome in how it went, seeing even though it was cloudy, you could see the lighter parts of the clouds. And then it got really dark. And it was just, I found it very interesting. And yes, I went deeper, but I think that I hear what you're saying. When I hear people go, I always think in this town, we could say it, I think in every town. I think everywhere everybody lives, they go, this sucks, and here's why.
And I hate that too.
Well, for me, I really just enjoyed being around all the people, just watching all the other people, just
at the
marveling
same time.
at it. Just
yes,
everybody in awe of what's going on, and just listening to people and watching people.
So when I saw did you get to finish your point, by the way? Because I do hate when people don't let people finish a point. I think that's not right.
My whole point was about the actual eclipse. It wasn't about like these are people talking about the actual eclipse. You were talking about
no, I
more
was
than
talking
that.
about the actual eclipse. But hang on. But wait, did you finish your point?
Yes.
All right.
I think so.
Just
I think I did.
All right. Well, then if you feel
It was 3 weeks ago. Get over it.
I hope I did.
All right. Hang on now. So I think this still goes back to a bigger root thing with Danny. Why does this camera keep moving? I think it goes back to a bigger root thing with Danny.
Go on.
I will. But sure, I think every town, if you talk to somebody like we go, man, LA looks cool. There's all this stuff to do. That sucks. The taxes are bad. There's homeless people everywhere. All fact.
Yes.
I mean, factual.
Both things can be true.
But factual things,
Yes.
right? Crimes on the rise, and yet I got to pay a ton of money to put an addition on my house. I can get fucking permits and this and that, but we can't lock anybody up. Yeah, okay. So my thinking on everything is you could do that. I didn't need my eclipse glasses to look at the eclipse. I got eclipse glasses. I went and got what I thought were cooler eclipse glasses. So the joke's on me. But those things don't bother me because I did stand there and watching it. I know maybe there is something wrong with me. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that.
Maybe I'm on the spectrum. I found this to be very, very
spiritual.
I found it to be just amazing that everything is done. We did nothing to do this. It was a cool event. I did find it cool. I even liked that Tommy Burnett went outside and took a really neat picture of the silo outside Iron Smoke. And when it was completely dark out, and goes, how cool is this? And I did. I did even with the clouds find it cool. So maybe I'm one of those people. I would say the people who are like you are non-thinkers.
Okay.
But here's the difference.
I was talking specifically about the actual eclipse.
No. And so am
I wasn't talking about like gave like a really spiritual, philosophical.
Yes, but that's because of the actual eclipse. The actual eclipse itself was what caused it. What made this happen? Right. We don't think about the Earth. I didn't get up at any point today, and I wasn't feeling well most of the day. Just my stomach's been bothering me, and I did not at any point go, shit, I hope the Earth's spinning. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I meant by that. And I thought, wow, all this shit goes on, and we panic about everything. We get upset, and I'm going to pick at you a little bit about the draft, but let's take it to something more serious. We're worried about money and this and that. And it was in that moment that I went, hang on a second. Maybe we're living wrong. Maybe it's all done for us. And whatever we really want. I've been thinking, I think a lot. I think maybe too much sometimes about certain things. There was a point in my life when...
You definitely do. I'm not saying you overthink. I'm saying you
No,
you
I don't think I overthink. I just think
you look at things differently.
And I was thinking back to... Because sometimes I'd be very candid with everybody that doing this became somewhat stressful. And, I invested a lot of my money into this and trying to make this work and, this and that and the other thing. And there are people who are coming at me and pulling at me with different things, and that has nothing to do with anything. But I think like I started to think back to when I was about 18 or 19 years old, and I wanted to get into radio, and I didn't know how to do it. So I was at a community college, basically because my father told me I would drink my way out of college, and he was only going to, I got one shot on his dime. So I went to the community college, and they had a radio station. And I will tell you that I thought everybody there was weird by my standards, my opinion. and I didn't really like hanging out with the kids at the college radio station. I thought they were a little, and they got into all these not political arguments, but politics of who's in charge and you can't do that and this and that. And I just kind of went, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I just want to go in and I want to get a demo tape together, and I'm going to send it out to every radio station around here. I'm going to do that. So I went in and I made sure that, so you kind of had in the moment. And by the way, this wasn't an over the air. It was just like it played to the cafeteria in the gym. Like my buddies would go listen to me in the gym. But you got to do some real hands-on radio, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I put the tape together and I sent it out, and I got hired. I got hired by 2 stations, one after the other one, and I didn't want to do top 40. I wanted to be on this one specific rock station, and they put me on their AM. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I just stayed focused on doing that, and I didn't worry about it. And I'll say something that I never said, and it sounds a little weird, but it has nothing to do with anything, really. But I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, man, back then I was just focused on doing this, and I loved it. I loved it. And I worked all the time, but it didn't feel like work. I did stupid shitty. I was 19. I would go in and pitch my voice up, and I was an alien, and an alien lands outside, and I had just taken a piss in the snow, and I had the sound effects of me peeing, and here comes this alien. The alien is like, oh, colors, and starts eating the snow, and like dumb shit, right? Yeah. I would call payphones in the middle of the night. I would do Who's Up and Why. I gave away the lampshade of shame. I turned it into a talk show. I got bored at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's why I did all this stuff. So now it comes down to, I think I talked about getting caught with the high glossy porn in my room. And my father said, if I ever see this again, you can't live under my roof. So I said, well,
high glossy? I don't know what that means.
It was just a high glossy, high end porn.
Like a magazine.
Yeah. This guy.
I thought you'd say porn. I thought you meant a video or something.
No. This guy was just destroying this woman in all these different pictures, and I loved it. I was 19. I had a lot of testosterone and a lot of jizz, and
drinking cab in my cab.
So it came down to, you can. Now, I had just done a year out of Fisher, midnight to 6, and it was like, you can't live here. So the owner of the station had a building at Marist College. I could go there. He said to me, come do 7 to midnight for me, and eventually you'll be my morning guy. He loved me. His name was Rob Dyson. Rob Dyson raced Porsches. Yeah, that's how I kind of got into the whole racing thing, and he talked to me. He was very, very kind to me. And I told my dad. My dad goes, well, he goes, here's the story. You go to Marist, and you got to find an apartment, and you got to pay for it all yourself, or you can go back to Fisher, and I'll pay for it. I had 1 year left. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, but you can't live here. This was like right around this time of year. It would be, well, maybe a few months later, because it was Father's Day that I landed in Park City. He goes, you have to go live with my brother for the summer. Now, first, yeah. So he was like, you're out. Can't live here. So I went.
Was this to teach you something, or
who the fuck knows? I had the greatest summer of my life. I went to Park City, man. That was like, I lived on a houseboat for 2 weeks. I worked in a restaurant. There was a French girl that I took out a couple times. I fucking had a great time. But yeah, yes, it was. It was basically, there was a girl in my life, and there was, and she had written me this really filthy, dirty letter, like dirty. Like, she took every Harlequin novel and about your big throbbing cock and all this stuff, and my mother found it. So I had that and the high glossy, and my parents were like on the fucking ceiling. My old man was cool. There was no yelling. There was no anything, but it was like, you can't, I'm not allowing it. And that was it. So there was a line. I crossed it. Okay. And then, so you know how they say fail up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
fail forward or fail up.
I failed up in an economic bracket. I lived in Park City. And then these girls I went to high school with came through, and I went with them up into Yellowstone, and I just had the greatest summer. It was a great summer. Came back, and then my dad, when I was at Fisher, this is how spoiled I was, would send me $50 every 2 weeks. So he said to me, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to get a job just to have spending money and stuff. So I'm like, well, I can be a waiter again. I didn't really like that. And I wasn't very good at it. And I think I almost dumped spaghetti in a lady's lap.
Waiting
once.
tables is hard. I've done it.
Yeah,
I think everybody should do it.
Yeah,
so they
I do
understand.
too. I mean, it was cool. I'll tell you, one of the great things was this one night when they had a lot of cool things went on in Park City, and they had an arts festival, and this family came through, and they had no money, and it was late at night, and the woman wanted to trade art for a meal just to feed her kids, and the owner goes, absolutely, and took her and like himself sat her and did all this and made sure they had things. And then I was the only waiter on. They had let others go. And I was like, fuck, man, I could get a tip for this. This is going to suck, blah, blah, blah. Well, since we were still open, in comes another couple. They hardly any food. They drink all wine, and they tipped like triple that night. Like, right, what you would have made off the table. I think their bill was, God, if it was $30 in 1993, and I think I walked away with almost a $60 tip from the guy. Because I chatted with them, and I had learned to open a bottle of wine the right way.
I'm dating a French girl, so I kind of know a thing or two about
I
wine.
didn't know anything about anything.
Monsieur.
That always stuck with me too, because it was one of these things where I felt horrible that I was complaining in my head that I had to stay. I wanted to go hang out. I loved going to the bars. My cousin, who was 16, I would get her into the bar, and she would drive me home. I would get drunk. I was 21, 22. And so I was like, I want to go out and all this. And then so I was annoyed that this lady comes, and they were ordering milk and this and that, and the kid. And I can picture them in my head now, and I go, God, that was such a shitty thing. And how cool that it all worked out back to the eclipse. It all works out. Yeah. Okay. Here's my point. I decide that I don't want to wait tables, and I send a tape to a radio station in Rochester, New York, WCMF. WCMF was considered a large market rock station. People back home, in Poughkeepsie, I asked somebody to write me a letter of recommendation. They did that, and I remember this one kid calling me, man, you're good for Poughkeepsie's. You'll never make it in Rochester. But this is how, right?
Yeah.
So
that
I didn't
age
care.
group.
I send it out. Back then, we had answering machines in our dorm room. My roommate is back. I walk in, and he's got a couple guys, and they're playing it, and it's Stan Main going, "Hey,
Stanley Main from CMF.
I got your demo tape. Love to talk to you. Blah blah blah." And I met him, and he goes, we do 5. Now, don't forget, I sent a tape with aliens eating yellow snow, calling payphones in the middle of the night. I'm 19. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was just doing it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was just in the flow of doing it. That's where we all need to live. Right there. Right in that. Stop worrying about what other people are thinking. Don't care about the guy who says you're never going to get, that's too big of a city. You're 19. You can't get on the radio, or you're 22 or however old I was. Just do your thing.
Yeah.
And stay focused on that. And that's what I was reminded by the eclipse. So again, I go in, I meet with Stanley. He goes, we do 5 hours of funny radio a day. They had the Wee Show, who Brother Weeze is in the National Radio Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Pretty much a radio legend. And I said, and can you do straight radio? And I said, sure. So I did for about 3 months. But then I found out, and here's my point, that it was years later, and a guy who was also a pretty big name in morning radio locally in Rochester. At the time, he was Tony Matthews. He went by his real name after a while, Tony Infantino. And Tony said to me, he goes, I'm a big fan of yours, and I want you to know that Stanley told me when he heard your demo tape, you blew his socks off. My only point for saying that is not to brag. It's not a humble brag, and people will say it is. That's not my point. The lesson is just go do what you really want to do. Do it to the fullest, and don't worry about the outcome. I was worried that I wouldn't get the job or but I did. But it didn't. My life didn't depend on it. I was in college. Didn't matter, right? I could have gone and waited tables. It didn't matter. But I just did what felt right to me, and somebody else who was in charge of shit went, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, everything will work out if you just stay focused on that and stop all the peripheral shit.
Peripheral.
Peripheral. Yeah. Is it peripheral?
Peripheral.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So peripheral shit.
I'm a columnist, Billy.
But here's where I think with you. Ready?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here comes the.
No, it's not a hammer. It's not anything. No. I just think you are always looking. Like you're saying, even about the eclipse, the people you are mad at these people in a way,
okay.
as you are the people who do not go back 3 years later and correct the fact that they got the draft wrong, and they're on the radio, and that bothers you because they're saying this is awesome, and they're just glad handing and just saying shiny shit to say shiny shit.
Yes,
that's part of it. I can understand.
I mean, it's not just on the radio. It's
I can't help it. My dad had a doctorate in philosophy. I was brought up where this was.
I will say this: if you were bothered by what I told you, I would. I mean, I sat here on the show when you said all those things about. I wasn't talking about Bill Moran, and I wasn't talking about people with that outlook.
Hey, I was half kidding. I was just going. I go, how does Danny come on a podcast? He's taking a shot at me, and I thought it would be fun to go at him. And I said to Kevin, I go, I'm going to go at Danny tonight.
It has been suggested that Danny gets so worked out that we might need to go through the training, get an AED machine put in here just in case.
A defibrillator?
Yeah,
all right.
Just in case.
Well,
yes, go ahead.
I guess, it's like you said. I kind of came up in a different generation where you couldn't do all that hands-on stuff like you got to do so much. So you had to basically just learn on the fly as you were doing it, right? And it was more of a digital age.
More of a digital
age. Right? Sure, so in other words, I didn't, at Fisher, there was no chance of even if I wanted to do a radio show the way you did, there was nobody calling in. We didn't have the resources to do that. I would have to literally talk.
Well, I didn't have people calling in. It was just me talking in between records.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But the bigger picture with it for me was, I'm on social media after this eclipse. I'm on Twitter because I don't do Facebook anymore. I have an Instagram account and I have a Twitter account.
I love it.
And Twitter really, you got to train yourself to get off it because it can be a very vile, toxic place, and it's something that I got to avoid
I will
too.
agree with that.
And there's 4 categories that I really pay attention to, and that is sports, politics, and and a couple other ones faith, and then whatever else is out there. And in the whatever else was out there category, you got a lot of tweets about the eclipse. And they weren't giving what you offered. They were just saying, that was awesome, and nothing else. And I was just like,
all right, but
and some of these people are actually really, really bright and very talented. And
well, maybe they didn't have time to write more. Maybe
dude, if you got time to send one tweet, trust me, you got time. Some of these people write threads.
All right.
And I'm like, really? That's the best you could do on an overcast sky with the
140 characters, Dan.
No, you don't. You get at least 280, and if you verify yourself, you could write a freaking novel. And I'm like, they didn't offer what Bill Moran just said.
Well,
they were talking about the actual.
Don't kiss my hiney.
No. No, because you were. It's like you were half kidding, but in a way,
their opinion.
You did call me a mouth breather, jokingly. But I'm not that kind of person. I actually do look at a big picture. I don't look at the same way you do. I come from a very specific faith of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
The point is, though, is that I wanted to go in and enjoy that day and be, look forward to it. And it was cloudy. And I understand you can't control the weather, and that's okay. But you don't have to lie to everybody. In this case, some of these people were, and say that this was an awesome event, because it really wasn't. And that's okay. That was my thing. That's okay. It's okay to admit that, oh man, we had. We were the one place. Even the county executive of Erie County drove to Cleveland to watch the eclipse and posted about it. He got crap for it. And I'm like, why? He knew it was going to be bad out, so he wanted to go experience it. God bless him. Good for him. I don't care what.
I see what you're saying. I still think that even if you thought, I did think it was awesome. My mom was at first disappointed when she woke up because she came here to see it, and then you were standing with her, and she, I think too, was like, wow. And it was a wow thing, I think, because just to see nature and see something happen that you have no control over, and how weird is this, right? And how our biological everything is. It's almost like there's stuff we don't even have. Have you thought about your heart today? Maybe you have.
Oh, I have.
You have a thing, but have you thought about breathing at certain points?
Yes.
In the day.
I mean, not like my breath's gonna be taken away from me.
No, but right now, hey, I got to make sure I'm breathing. There are times where, I always say to people in boxing, breathe, and they'll go, I can't help it. It's involuntary. That's not what I'm saying. You want to watch boxers? Watch kickboxers. Watch these guys. The guy that holds his breath tires out first. Oxygen will energize you. So when you hear guys going, when they're hitting.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't thought about my breath other than when I meditated this morning.
Sharp breaths, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I don't think about it. It just happens naturally. So almost out of my, it's involuntary.
Yeah, life happens.
Everything else is involuntary. That's all.
Life happens.
All
right.
This got boring.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, just if that was awesome, that if we had actually seen the eclipse, what word would you be? And that to me is disingenuous.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
All right.
And is there a part of me that, I think I could do a better job? You're absolutely.
Yes. And
I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe that.
And I would say this to anybody else. You should always believe that about yourself, because if you don't have that confidence,
then what good are you?
Then nobody else is going to have
No.
it either. Right.
You have to believe in you first.
I do think that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we'll take a moment. There was another constitutional amendment. I think 2 more.
Yeah, there were a
2
couple.
more.
Yeah.
There were 3 total. You're
Yeah,
right.
there were 3. Yeah, there's 2 more.
Let's go to one more. Let's go to one in particular.
Okay.
And let you read them, and then we'll see. Because I think, again, we have to take a global look on things.
Okay.
If we're going to really fix all this. We'll get to it next.